Students, now we are going to see what is range of a thermometer and how we can increase it by changing the structure and features of a thermometer. This question which is in front of your screen, you will give the answer to this question at the end of this lesson. Question says that state the term range of a thermometer. So you will be able to give the statement or description of what is range of a thermometer, and we will discuss what is range. But before that, one thing students keep in mind, that range is inversely proportional to sensitivity. Whatever you have done to increase the sensitivity will decrease the range, but if you do opposite to what you have done to increase the sensitivity, then the range will also increase. So now let's see with the help of a table that how we can increase range. Secondly, this table examiner can ask you in the exam to complete this table, and some of the portion kept as blank, so examiner can ask you for completion of this table in Cambridge examination. Student, this table is same as we have drawn in the topic of sensitivity. Some of the things will kept constant and one parameter will change at a time, so that we can increase the range, because in physics you cannot change two parameters at the same time, otherwise you will not be able to see the effect of any one. So let's change one parameter at one time. You are familiar with the structure of the thermometer. We have already drawn in the previous class, or it was mentioned that it consists of a bulb in the start. Then for clinical thermometer there is a constriction or kink, then a capillary tube or bore of thermometer, and outside it is having a glass tube which is acting like a magnifying glass. So if we start with the first column, we have kept volume of the liquid constant, we have kept size of the bulb as same, we have kept length of the thermometer same, and types of liquid as well same. But if we use capillary tube of wide bore or larger diameter, then liquid will expand gradually and it will have greater range. Its nature will be change. This change will help us to increase the range of the thermometer. Liquid will gradually rise in the capillary tube with a wide bore and larger diameter, because it will expand slowly. Then it will help us to increase the range of the thermometer. The slower expansion of the liquid means its greater range for the same temperature. If you compare a sensitive thermometer and a less sensitive with greater range. So student, remember that a thermometer which is more sensitive will have less range, and a thermometer with less sensitive will have more range. Now if we move to the next column, by keeping bore, length and type of the liquid constant, if we decrease the volume or use a smaller size of the bulb, then it will do less conduction, because less surface area will be in contact with the outside atmosphere. It will absorb heat gradually and gradual absorption of heat will affect the range of the thermometer. The range will decrease because gradually the liquid will expand and it will show a greater range in this way. For the same temperature, if we keep other parameters constant. Now moving to the next. By keeping bore, volume, size of the bulb and length constant, and if we use liquid with less expansivity, if the liquid is going to expand slowly, for example, if we can compare mercury with alcohol, alcohol is having greater expansivity, so it is having more range, whereas mercury is having slower expansion, so it is having if we use and alcohol is having greater expansivity, so it is more sensitive, whereas mercury, but we can use other parameters to affect the sensitivity as well. But if you compare mercury with alcohol, alcohol is more sensitive and alcohol is having more expansion in comparison to mercury because it's a metal. If we move to the next, by keeping all other parameters constant, there is another factor which is going to affect the range, and this factor is very important. If you increase the length of the thermometer, increasing the length of the thermometer will also increase the range if you keep other parameters constant. So a longer thermometer will have more range if we do its comparison with a thermometer with small length, because if the thermometer is long, then it will have enough space to expand for larger temperatures as well, instead of a thermometer which is having small length. So a longer thermometer will allow liquid to expand till its boiling point as well, so it will give a greater range for the measurement of the temperature outside the thermometer for a body in contact with thermometer or so. Now students, if you see on the right side, laboratory thermometer we use in the lab is less sensitive because it is having greater range, so the digits are marked closer to each other. So the same way it is less precise as well, but it is having more range because it's a longer thermometer. The statement used to define the range is the minimum and maximum temperature that can be measured. So how we can see what is range? And after solving the question from past paper, again read this table and clarify the concept how the range can be increased by changing the capillary tube of wide bore or larger diameter, less volume and small size of the bulb, longer thermometer, and liquid with less expansivity. Now let's solve some question from the past paper, and everyone draw this table on your notebook. Don't take a screenshot, try to write this table because this table can be asked by the examiner in the exam and some of the blocks might be missing, so your responsibility is to fill the table. And now let's solve some question from the past papers. So students, here we have a question from past paper. A thermometer is shown with a greater range, so it's a laboratory thermometer because its range is starting from -10 degrees Celsius to 110 degrees Celsius. So it is able to measure overall 120 degrees. So if examiner asks you to write the range of this thermometer, so for writing the range we will be using two ways. My dear, first way of writing is by writing in the form of limits, upper limit and lower limit. State the range of the thermometer. It is not mentioned state the term range of the thermometer. It is mentioned state the range of the thermometer. So our responsibility is to state the range by writing it in the form of the number. So there are two ways to write the range. First way is the range is from -10 degrees Celsius to -10 degrees Celsius to 110 degrees Celsius. One way. This is the first way to write the range of the thermometer. If you see the first way to write, there is another way of writing the range as well. So you can write in both way for range. Student, second way is the larger value is 110. We will subtract the lower limit from it. 110 minus -10 equals to 120 degrees Celsius. So the range of the thermometer can be mentioned or written in two ways. First way is writing the range that it is starting from -10 to 110 degrees Celsius. Other way is by taking the difference of higher value and the smaller value. So if the smaller value is 10 and higher value is 70, so 70 minus 10, 60 is the range. If the higher value is 120 and lower value is -20, then 120 minus into -20, we will get 140. So in this way we can find the range. In the marking scheme, it can be written in both ways, that is -10 degrees Celsius to 110 degrees Celsius, or by taking the difference. Now the next question and the last question we are going to discuss is state one change in design of thermometer to increase its range. Student, we can increase the range by all the parameters being discussed in the table. You can say by increasing the length of the thermometer. You can say by using a thermometer with a wide bore. You can also say that by using a liquid having less expansion, or by decreasing the volume or size of the bulb being used. So in this way we can increase its range. Students, examiner can also twist the question and ask, state one change in the design by which we can decrease the range. So always keep an eye on both the words and then write the design features. So now I expect from all of you to write this short question. State the term range of the thermometer. The range is the minimum and maximum temperature that a thermometer can measure. Range is a minimum and maximum temperature that a thermometer can measure. After writing answer to this question, I expect from all of you to also draw the table and try to memorize it as much as possible. Students, in the next class we will discuss about responsiveness and linearity of a thermometer. Then this topic will end and we will solve about thermocouple, and after thermocouple we will solve almost all the question being discussed in the past paper. Then we will move to the next topic of thermal physics. Till that time, take care. Allah Hafiz.